All right, now it's time for some math. We're going to do a word problem together to practice making sure we're doing all the things that the rubric requires for us to do in order to get full points on our math. I'm going to start with this one. I actually changed my mind of which problem I would do as an example. We're going to read it together. We're going to look for our quantities, underline our question, and get started. So if you have a whiteboard and marker or a pencil and paper, work along with me. If you need to go grab those things, just pause the video and grab what you need. It says, Carla ate 13 M&Ms. 4 were brown and the rest were green. How many of her M&Ms were green? So the first thing I want to do is I want to think about what's happening in the story. Normally, our first read, we talk about what the problem is about, and we don't even have our numbers. But I can tell that I know Carla is eating M&Ms. And I know that some of them are green, and I know that some of them are brown. And I know we know how many brown ones, but we don't know how many green ones. Okay, our second read, we're going to be looking at our quantities, and I'll circle them for you. All right, so Carla ate 13 M&Ms. So 13 M&Ms. 4 were brown, and the rest were green. Do I know how many are green? Not yet. How many of her M&Ms were green? There's my question. How many of her M&Ms were green? Okay, so now I can start working on drawing a picture and adding some labels to show what I already know about the problem. I know Carla ate 13 M&Ms. She didn't eat any more than that, and she didn't eat any less than that. So I know that 13 is my total number of M&Ms. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 13. And whenever I draw a number in math, I always do circles. Good thing is M&Ms are also circles. And I like to organize my drawing into 5 groups. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 M&Ms. I know that 4 of them were brown. So I'm going to circle 4 of these M&Ms and I'm going to put a B for brown. It says that the rest of them were green. So I'm going to circle the rest of them and I'm going to put a label of G for green. That will help me remember which ones, the number 4 meant the brown, and then these leftovers here were G for green. Okay, I'm not finished yet. I know that on my rubric there are pictures, and I also need an equation. So I already knew how many I started with, and I knew how many was one of my parts. So I had a total and I had a part. I like to do subtraction with my total and take away my part. So I'm going to start with that, but I can also give the related addition fact here because addition can also help you solve it. So I know that Carla had 13 M&Ms. If I take away the 4 brown ones that I knew about, I know that I will have my leftover greens. Now I could count from my picture, or I can choose to count down. So I start at 13 and I'll count down. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. I got 9, but I always like to double check. So I'm going to go back in my picture and count how many green ones are in my picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 in my picture, 9 when I counted down. So I know that it has to be correct. I'm going to also put a number bond. 13 was my total. 4 of them were brown. And I now know that 9 of them were green. When I have my equation here, sometimes I don't remember what my answer was or what my unknown was. I already knew about 13, and I already knew about 4. 9 was my unknown, so I'm going to put a box around my unknown. Am I finished? Nope. I have to also add a statement. So that's when I go back and check my question. How many of her M&Ms were green? Well, I can look at my picture, G for green. 9 of them were green. So I'm going to write with words, capital at the beginning. 9 of them were, I'm going to run out of space, green. Period at the end. 9 of them were green. So now if I go back, I know I have my picture with labels, number bond, equation, and my statement. I expect all of these on your next 2 questions. Careful when you're looking at them. They might not all be subtraction. If I wanted to, could I have made this addition? Sure. I could have had 4 plus my unknown equals 13. That would have been totally acceptable for an answer as well. So check out your next 2 questions. Remember, if it's too hard for you to draw on your computer screen or the phone or the tablet, then just put it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, snap a picture, and send it my way on Class Dojo.